You're watching The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with The Buzz. Remember, 632-8255, 632-TALK to rap with us tonight, myself and also Captain Mark Chaffers. Let's go to Antoinette from Mangilong. Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, Antoinette. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, and you guys?
We're doing great.
Good.
My question is directed to Officer Chaffers. I was wondering, does a police officer have the right to tell us to take off a sticker that is obscene to him?
Can't hear it.
Ma'am, can you speak up? We can hardly hear you.
I was wondering if an officer has the right to take off, for us to take off a sticker that is offensive to him.
Does the officer have the right, if I hear you right, does the officer have the right to tell you to remove a sticker that's offensive to that officer? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and that's on your vehicle, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hang up and have Captain Chaffers answer that question. Does the officer, if there's an offensive or whatever, whether it's obscene or whatever, does the officer, when they stop you, can they go up to you and say, hey, you need to remove that sticker from your car?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's freedom of speech, and that if you have these issues with our officers, I encourage the public to contact our Internal Affairs Office.
And that number?
And it's 475-8509. That's the Office of the Chief of Police.
Okay.
And from there, the Secretary can transmit your call to Internal Affairs. And see, these are some of the problems that we're receiving, is that sometimes people would complain about an officer, but when we ask them to come forward and bring these allegations, I'm not saying that this person is not going to do that, but maybe she just didn't know the process.
Sure.
But to me, that's inappropriate. I mean, if it's purely offensive because the officer doesn't like it, that's not good enough of a reason.
Well, I tell you what, we were the recipients of the violation of freedom of speech or freedom of the press, actually.
I agree with you, and I can't talk about that, but
well, there's an ongoing litigation of that.
That's right.
Anyways, one of the things, because we talked about this prior, actually before
we start, but there are other issues that are out there that I like to bring out. And I know that that's minor, but we've been hearing complaints, that I run into individuals concerning an officer that may ask you to search your vehicle or ask you to get out and insist that they search those vehicles. I like to let the public to know that in order for an officer to search your vehicle, you must give consent.
Yeah.
So if these things are happening out there, if there are officers that are profiling out there, the command needs to know these things, and you need to bring that to our attention. And Internal Affairs is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to see the Chief of Police directly, and he may take the action right then and there.
Let me just say, in my interaction, there was some complaints actually brought to me. They said, hey, they have had incidents where they had there are a couple areas, eateries, where they give police officers maybe a certain times or certain discounts and things like that. But they said there are times where some officers will come into the eatery and they weren't uniformed, they weren't working, but insisted that they were officers and insisted that they got the meals at a discount, or maybe sometimes even...
That's a violation.
It is a violation.
It is a violation. Yeah. And those are conduct unbecoming. And please bring those issues to the police department. And if you're not satisfied with that, understand that the FBI also has jurisdiction over abuse of police officers, and that's another avenue that's also available. But these violations, we need to know about it, and we need to address it.
There we go. Let's go to Marie from Agani Heights. Marie, good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Your question or a comment?
Okay, my question is, and this is to Captain Chaffers.
Okay.
Okay, what is the protocol in reference to domestic violence? In the event that they call an individual in reference to a situation and only one party was arrested, but actually, if I don't recall, that in the event that there's a call for domestic violence, both parties will be arrested, or does it depend upon the situation?
Okay, thank you very much, Marie. Thank you for that. And Cap?
Well, for domestic violence, we have a pro-arrest policy. In other words, if there is a domestic violence and there are injuries involved in that, or there is hitting involved, that is going to lead to an arrest. And that's basically
an arrest or arrest of both parties involved?
Well, you can arrest. It used to be if two individuals were verbally arguing and then both of them get arrested, but I believe there was a court case that addressed that issue. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Judge Barcina's court.
Okay.
You know, what married couple doesn't argue? So, and it makes kind of sense. If two married couple argue verbally, do you execute an arrest based on that?
But if there's signs of physical abuse on both parties, then both
will be arrested.
Both be arrested.
If one partner hits another partner and the other partner hits the other partner, then both will be arrested. If one partner does not strike the other partner, then the partner who struck will be arrested.
Okay. Let's go to Frank from Marigata. Good evening, Frank. How are you doing this night?
Buenas today.
Buenas.
Yeah, earlier the officer there was mentioning training by stateside or U.S. standards. What about pay? You know, the scope of their pay scale. Is that gonna be something they're looking into? Maybe allowing officers. I don't know if it's the Organic Act that's an issue, but allowing them to organize, become union. Your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The police department does support the union, and as a matter of fact, I am a member of the union. And I think what he's alluding to is union contracts. And I'm not sure what needs to be done to come up to that level. I don't know if there's a requirement with X amount of officers having to join before they can start negotiating contracts, or if there's a requirement in the change of the law. I'm not sure. But that's an issue that I support. As far as pay is concerned, we do have that we're due a 10% pay raise. However, the economy isn't that well, and the Hay study has been frozen as a result of that. And so hopefully if everything goes through with the legislation and the pay, it will bring up to national standards. But the economy is not that well.
Anyway, more with former Senator and now Police Captain Mark Jaffers. We'll be right back.